If you are wondering why you are feeling guilty for not being productive 24/7 and you want to get that reined in because you feel like you're working yourself to the ground, stick around and I'm going to show you a couple things. If you're also wanting to get a more in-depth analysis on all these topics, I have a free guide down below. If you click that link, it'll send you over to my website on my Rule of Three method. It's an intro guide to overcoming the fear of failure for high achievers, people that want to be more and do more in their life, but they're stuck in their thoughts, stuck in their emotions, don't know a way out. And then even if they find a way out of that, they don't know how to organize themselves to actually get the vision and the life that they want. And so I give you a free intro guide on that. Go ahead and download it absolutely for free. And then if you want to take yourself to the next level, just scroll all the way to the bottom of that website, fill out the application form for me to work with you personally. But let's get right into the topic. So why are you feeling these feelings? Because they're extremely frustrating and you're always torn. You want to get up and do something, but you're also feeling absolutely drained. The first thing, honestly, oftentimes I find, is that we're just afraid of being in our own thoughts. Now, how many times have you found that if you're sitting down and just trying to relax, you start to get your mind all in a twirl, you start to ruminate, and then the only way to take care of it and fix it is to get up and do something. And that's something that I've had family members deal with, I've had clients that I talk to deal with. It's a very, very common thing. And so oftentimes it's the fear of sitting in our own stories. It's the stories we've ruminated over time, and we find ourselves trapped within it. But the question is, where do these stories come from? How did this happen? Oftentimes these stories are something that probably served us in the past to help us through hard times. Maybe you were stuck in a bad living situation. Maybe you were stuck in a bad job and you had to do particular things and tell yourself particular stories to get yourself through it. But then, oftentimes we get so stuck and immersed in that story, it turns in like autopilot and you don't even know when it started and why you're even doing what you're doing now, why you're feeling what you're feeling, and why you're thinking what you're thinking. And so we get stuck in these old stories. I always tell my clients this, and this is actually my Rule of Three method. Your stories are made up of two things: your thoughts and then your emotions. Oftentimes you have a thought that comes up. So you have an image of maybe presenting something, and as an example, you're presenting something in front of a class and you find yourself imagining, what if they laugh? What if you forget what you're supposed to say? And that thought can start to create emotions of anxiety and fear, and you want to just run away from it completely. And then when those two things merge together and they connect, it builds a story. Now, it also works the other way around. So you can have emotions that come up first that then spark a thought. And when those thoughts start to spark and then you entangle with it and you dance with it and you engage with it, in other words, ruminating, then those stories start to happen. So somewhere along the line, there was a story that you told yourself that being unproductive, not working all day long, is bad. And the kind of stories that people tell themselves, from my experience when I talk to them, is that, number one, oftentimes that they feel like they're going to be disappointing other people. You're going to be disappointing your family. You're going to be disappointing yourself. You're going to be disappointing your peers and people that, to be honest, let's be honest here, I've had that same issue, but we don't even really care. We don't want to care what they think, but we're stuck in that. We're stuck in that story. Another thing that happens is people that are not doing something productive all the time will feel like if they stop, they're falling behind. They're falling behind and life is just moving too quickly. And if you're not sprinting with it, you're going to be lagged behind, sitting around, not knowing what to do, where to go, and everyone is just doing a lot better than you. But you notice there's always a revolving theme. And if you reflect enough on your story, it's almost the same thing. And it is almost always, to some degree, either a judgment you're trying to avoid from somebody else, or it's just an old story, an old habit that you've done for such a long time, it's on autopilot. So the first one, oftentimes it can be a parent that was very heavy on you as a child, telling you that if you're sitting around and doing nothing, you're being lazy. And lazy is wrong. So you got to get up and do something. It could have been maybe one of your coaches. It could have been your teacher. Who knows who it could have been, a sibling. It could have been something that you said to yourself, but oftentimes it is an external. Somebody put that in you to feel that way. And then another time is, like we said earlier, You have a situation in life, you had to be productive. You needed to get things done. Maybe you have responsibilities that is just overwhelming, and the only way you can deal with it is by doing a lot of work. You have to actually get things done all the time, which is totally okay, and it served its purpose. But unfortunately, when it grips onto you and you can't let it go, you can be past that point. Maybe you worked your way up. You don't have to grind that way anymore, but you can't help yourself. You're just stuck looping over and over and over and over, running yourself into the ground. So now, what are some solutions that you can actually do to mitigate this problem? This isn't something that can be fixed overnight. And I'm going to tell you right now, there's just no way you can do that right off the bat. It is a slow process of staying consistent. I'm a big believer when I talk to my clients and I coach my clients, I'm a big believer in having consistent steps. Consistent momentum is more important than the intensity and volume of something that you're doing. So intensity and volume will come, right? Every once in a while, you'll get a huge spike of energy and motivation, and you get a lot of things done really quickly. But by no means is that something you have to sustain and keep. That's just not how things work. So having a consistent level of burn is going to be the way that you're going to actually make progress while enjoying the change at the same time. It doesn't have to be miserable 24/7. So the first thing you have to know is you change your story, you will start to change your actions. So first, you would have to have a journal. If you grab yourself a journal, have it by your bedside table, or maybe just carry it with you in your backpack, whatever it is. Or you can just type it on your phone. And oftentimes I have it on my phone. I just type with it. It's just much easier. First thing you have to do is build awareness. You have to build awareness of what story you're telling yourself. So the first thing is pay attention to your thoughts. That's the first thing. It depends if you're a thought person first or you're emotion-based person. Do you feel emotions more often than you have just thoughts running in your mind? You got to kind of figure it yourself out that way. But the first thing is write down your thoughts on any given day. What are you often thinking about? And in relation to that feeling that if you sit around, you get this anxiousness that you have to get up and do something. What is happening during that time? Gain some awareness. Write it out. Maybe even draw it if you want to draw, if you're a visual person. You have to start to be able to catch what's going on, especially if it's on autopilot. There was somebody I have a family member who, she's done it for so long. She's been in this constant hamster wheel for such a long time, for years and years and years. And it was something that she was brought up with, that at this point now it's autopilot. So she doesn't even know what's going on, why this is happening. It's just who I am. It's who I am. It's not who you are. Part of it can be who you are, maybe. But for the most part, for it to get to a huge level of imbalance, that was something that was just stacked and just done for years and years and years. So you have to gain awareness. You have to get out of autopilot. Write it out, and what you'll notice, do that for 2 weeks, because 1 to 2 days is not really enough. You do that for 2 weeks, you're going to have a lot of information. And it may not be even what you wrote down. It could be just taking random notes, and then all of a sudden, boom, it comes to you. The mind works in funny ways. So having it written down in front of you or drawn out is going to make a massive, massive difference. Now, you can also do the same thing in reverse. Pay attention to your emotions. What emotions are you feeling? And the real magic to it is you have to stay within that emotion. Don't quickly try to change and get up and do something different. Nothing will happen. Just sit and experience what's going on. Now, the way you do this, when those emotions start to get very strong, is you have to do deep inhales. Deep, slow inhales. It'll calm you down. It'll really change your biochemistry. And so begin to breathe, sit with it, try to understand what's going on, what emotion are you feeling, and then see what happens when you sit with it for a prolonged period of time. If you do that for 2 weeks as well, so you can do both in combination, I recommend it. When you do both in combination, you're going to have a better map as to what is going on inside your head, what is going on inside your gut, and what story and image is being drawn. Once you've done that, you can begin the process of letting go of the story. And the way you let go of the story is by, number one, not engaging with it. You can't engage and ruminate on it anymore. The more you ruminate on it, it's like anything. I give a gym analogy, okay? You go to the gym and let's say you're doing bicep curls, okay? Imagine you just did bicep curls. 2-3 times a week. You do bicep curls every single time, 10 sets, 30 reps, whatever it is. You do that for a month. Is your calf muscle going to grow? No. Is your quad? Are your quads going to get bigger? No. You might get some, you know, lateral impact. Like, by working your bicep, you can maybe work your forearm, sure. But your bicep will make the biggest growth because that is what you've worked on. And so what story you choose to exercise will become bigger and stronger. Now, if we go back to that same analogy and you change the body part, you start working your calf instead, what's going to happen? Your calf will get stronger. And then your bicep will start to slowly come down. But if you've built it up to be a big muscle, it's not going to just go away right away, right? For those that go to the gym and you actually go lift weights a little bit, you'll know what I'm talking about. The muscle won't just shrink within a month. It'll take time for it to reduce in size. So same thing with your mind. Same thing with your stories. If you pick a different story, a story that says that you giving yourself a moment to breathe and that you're not unworthy, you're not lazy for taking a second to just enjoy your life and enjoy the moment, the peace and quiet. If you tell yourself that that story is not wrong, it's not bad, doesn't make me less than, it's actually going to allow me to have a more productive life, a more fulfilling life, a more balanced life. And you engage your emotions, you engage your thoughts with that, and you start ruminating on that. That can become your new story. But then simultaneously, you have to let go and disassociate from the old one. So don't engage with it as much as it's difficult, and I know it is. And I talk to my clients, we do bi-weekly sessions, and it is difficult. It's incredibly difficult. But obviously with the support system, it really makes a huge difference, which is why I really hope this video helps you in that same direction. The next thing to understand is that you have to stop doing things because you're worried of disappointing someone else. Who cares what they think? Who cares? I've allowed myself for a huge chunk of my adolescence to let others affect my value. And I've had to put a lot of time and effort and study into figuring out a way out of it so that now I can help other people. But it controlled me for a long period of my life. And I did things and I pursued things and I acted a certain way to be just accepted, to be part of something. But at the end of the day, a part of what? Some other group's idea of what is powerful and successful and worthy of attention. Now, that was something I was tired of. I couldn't stand it anymore. It was draining my soul. And so it was at that point that I decided that's enough. Enough of always trying to get other people to look at me and say, thumbs up, you're doing a good job. And I never once asked myself, how are you doing? How do you feel you're doing? I never connected myself to God or the universe or whatever you wish to call it, which is also very important, by the way. You can't neglect that side of you. It's there. It's there whether you like it or not. And so you have to also engage with it. If you ignore it, it's just going to be replaced with something else. You are going to replace it with idolizing another human being. It's just what's going to happen. I've been through it. I know a lot of my clients have been through it as well. It's just the way it is. Now, this isn't a religious rant. Not at all. Not by any means. But the idea is the only person that you should be seeking to feel proud of, and to obviously a healthy amount of not wanting to disappoint is good. A healthy amount is okay. It shouldn't control you though. But me wanting to live up to a particular expectation of myself, what's healthier than that? To live up to a standard of pleasing the universe, pleasing God, and then also pleasing my family, my wife. So for me, my wife and my daughter. I want to live up to a particular way. But I know that if I pursue certain actions and it doesn't work, at the end of the day, I still always have me. I still always have God. I still always have my family, no matter what. And it's really important to remember that basic core. That is your core. Anything outside of that is all vanity metrics. There's utility to it. Of course, there's utility. You want to be a part of your community, you want to contribute to it, but you shouldn't be controlled by it. You should not be controlled by it. And one final tip, and this is probably going to be one of the main ways you'll see progress in the area of feeling guilty for not being productive. You just have to try sitting around and doing nothing. And sit with it. Tell yourself, today I'm going to just sit down and do nothing. And see what happens. I will guarantee you nothing will happen. I will guarantee you that you will not fall behind in life. In the big picture. I guarantee you that once you're done, of course the first time will be painful. You're probably going to be miserable. That's totally normal. You're going to be miserable the first time you do it. But you do that. Not 2 weeks straight. Of course not. You have responsibilities. Things need to get done, of course. But you give yourself a day during the week. You give yourself 2 days during the week to say, you know what? My soul is tired. I just want to do nothing. And nothing can mean anything to you. It could be going out into the woods and just sitting down and just taking in nature. Nothing could be going for a walk. Nothing could be just maybe watching some TV shows. Generally speaking, I would always advise to go for walks, take a walk in nature. You have to give yourself that alone time. You don't want to just be distracted. Being distracted is not the healthy way to rest. But that's for a whole other topic, which, by the way, again, click that link down below. Go ahead and download my free intro guide to the Rule of 3 method to overcome your fears, overcome your emotional barriers, and actually get strategies and steps and guides to move your life in a direction where you feel fulfilled and you're maximizing your potential and you're achieving your goals and moving towards the vision that you want. If you want to get more personal help, you want to work with me one-on-one, click that link, head over to my website, scroll all the way to the bottom, fill out that application form. I review all of them personally, and I will get back to you with available dates.